Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of GaysideStories with me, your host, Trilificent. It's all LGBT all the time around here. So, you guys know I have a guest all the time. I can't have these conversations by myself. So this week is a collaboration episode, and I'm going to let my guest introduce himself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dooley from DooleyNoted podcast, coming to you live and in color.
In living color. You
Yes.
can do what you want to do in living color. Classic.
That shows everything. Yes.
I mean, just everything. It remains everything. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the subject matter and the jokes are probably considered problematic now, which is not an issue. I mean, as we grow and as we learn, we do better. So you people want to hold on to these times where you could be as offensive as you want it and nobody checked you. Get it the hell together, all right? Join us.
All the way.
Join us. We have learned, we have evolved, but we can still appreciate the classics. Because listen, Homie the Clown,
Wanda.
What was it?
Jim Carrey? It was
Fire Marshal Bill.
Fire Marshal Bill.
And Gays on whatever. I can't remember what they called themselves, but whenever they did
Oh,
the reviews,
Gays on Film.
Gays on Film,
Or Men
that's
on
it.
Film.
Men on Film. That's right, not gays. That was the 90s. Men on Film. Classic. Okay, get your life. If you are a younger listener and you don't know what the hell In Living Color is, Sister Mary Google will bless you. Okay, you're welcome.
You know what I just watched that I hadn't seen in like a decade?
What's that?
This past weekend? Low Down Dirty Shame.
Yo, oh man, I haven't seen that so long. I don't even remember it.
I hadn't seen that movie in forever, and it took me out. Miss Peaches.
Come on. Old school. Never forget. Pay homage. Never forget. Get your life. All right, let's get into the show. So first up is the School and Life segment. And I think I'm going to do guests first again this week.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So I don't know what it is in these stars. Maybe it's the Scorpio season. Maybe it's this daylight savings. But this past week has been a struggle. My motivation has been piss motherfucking poor.
Come on.
Oh,
It's fall season, the holidays coming up, and your flask of give a fuck runneth low.
Oh, it's low as hell. So, Miss Cafe Bustelo, I don't know if y'all have that out there in Houston or wherever y'all listening from, but my friend Alex got me on Cafe Bustelo when I lived in New York City, and if it wasn't for her, I would have not been productive at all. Oh, Cafe Bustelo has been a saving grace this whole week. Oh my God.
Amen.
I can't tell you how much coffee I've had in the last 7 days. It's been an absolute ridiculous mess, but I needed it.
All
Ooh,
right.
I needed it.
Come on and get your blessings. Okay.
The other thing that has helped me get through this week is the gym. I've been going mad hard. I gained a shit ton of weight when I moved here to DC, and I was like, I got to get this off me. I don't feel good. So while Washington Sports Club is absolute trash, I'm gonna give them a shout out because the men are fine.
Well, eye candy, we love it.
Ooh, I don't know what was going on this week in the gym, but all the girls were there, and I had a great time running on that treadmill and just watching all the things swing by.
Okay. Come on, eggplant watching.
I was watching them eggplants and the booties this week.
Eggplant and peaches. All right, come on. Full circle. I'm here for it.
Layer cakes, pound cakes.
Clutching my pearls now, cause Listen, the last time my fat ass was in the gym, there was a dude in there. When I tell you he was stacked on stacked on stacked, I was like, his thighs are the width of damn near my whole body, and I'm here for it. That's the kind of suffocation I like.
Mm-hmm.
Rap. You know what? Okay, this is not the freaky episode. We're not gonna get there. We're not gonna do that.
But it could be.
Well, every episode has the potential. Okay, my schooling life this week. I have two. The first is the Texas Renaissance Festival. I'm not going to spend too much time here because I think we're going to do an episode and talk about that and a few other things. I'm going to do a geek episode with my friend Dion. You guys remember him from the bisexual episode. So we like to geek out together. We have not been to the Renaissance Festival in a few years, so we finally got the chance. We got it together. We went. We had a lot of fun. For anyone who doesn't know, the Renaissance Festival is basically 2 months out in the sticks and the boonies. They have this big grounds, and it's just kind of a medieval festival. They put on shows. There's joust, and people dress up in steampunk and all kinds of garb. This weekend when we went was a new themed weekend called Heroes versus Villains. So a lot of people have their Halloween costumes on or their everyday costumes because, you know, some of you girls, cosplay is a way of life, and I'm here for it. So we had a lot of fun. I will touch on two things really quick. One, as we were leaving, this white man comes he comes up and he claps me on the shoulder super hard. So immediately I turn and I'm like, who in the fuck? And I didn't register it at first. He was like, oh man, how are you doing? You know how white people are when they happy to see you. Oh my goodness, such and such, motherfucking such and such. It's so good to see. But I turned and looked because only someone who knows me would clap me on the shoulder that hard. I mean, clap. I'm talking about stripper booty clap. That's how hard he clapped me on the shoulder. And when he saw my face and didn't see recognition register on it, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was just, did you have a good time?" He kept asking me if I had a good time. And I'm looking, I'm like, this dude, he is higher than giraffe pussy. I mean, he was clocked out, okay? Clocked out. He was out of there. And so I'm like, yeah, I had a good time. How about you? And we just kept walking, and he kept trying to talk to me, and I'm like, So we keep walking, and I walked a little bit because my friend, he went right on through the exit because he thought I knew the guy and that I had turned and talked to him. So when I caught up to him, the guy catches up to us and he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to apologize. That was really rude. I didn't mean anything by it. I hope you had a fantastic time." I'm like, "Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you." My next question was going to be, "What are you on?" But that would have absolutely been rude. But, he walked off. He sped up and walked off with his friend. And that was my weird dalliance with the white. Sometimes they just, I don't know what they be on. And I don't know what he was on. But it was definitely manufactured. So the second thing about it was, as we were driving back, there was this Impala. And the street that we were on had a lot of construction. They're expanding the road. And so they had those type of concrete medians that go maybe like knee height. And I'm riding in the car and we're listening to some true crime podcast. And I see this Impala go up the median and then back down to the street. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this car? I'm like, okay, maybe they just weren't paying attention. And it just so happened that when they veered to the right, it was a break in the median, and it had those ramps going down and ramps going up where they have those breaks. And they just so happened to turn and go up on one side and then come back down. And I'm like, well, them shocks gonna be fucked. So we keep riding, and then I see the Impala drive directly into the concrete median. I'm like, what the fuck? Immediately I'm thinking somebody is either drunk or they in that car scrapping. So we keep going. and then it hits the median again. And I'm just sitting there, I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And my friend that was driving, he couldn't see what I could see. So then we get to a point where the traffic is backed up a bit, and the car behind the car that keeps hitting the median, they flag like a construction worker over and trying to get the police's attention because there were officers a few feet ahead, you know, helping direct traffic or whatever. But it looks like they brushed them off. So then we get out of the construction, we get back to the regular road. The car veers all the way over to the right lane, and I'm like, okay, at least they know they need to get out the way. Then they hit the curb, pop the curb,
What?
all kinds of shit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Then they do it again. And then at this point, cars are coming up behind us, driving real fast. And because they don't know how to drive and they don't know how to look ahead as they're driving, they're not seeing that we're not driving fast because we don't know what the fuck this car is going to do. So they coming up and beeping the horn and trying to swerve and go all. And it's like, if you open your fucking eyes and look, you can see that there's danger, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So finally that car slows down and it stops. And we're like, oh, thank God. And my friend is like, so the police didn't see this, and they just like, where are they when you need them? And I was like, well,
Mm-hmm.
So
probably harassing some black people,
right? Or just standing there collecting the. Anyway, we don't need to do that.
Mm.
So, we ride by the car, and it's an old man, and he looked out of it. I was like, what the fuck?
Ooh.
And so I hope that the police got to him, because I was like, well, at least he finally stopped. And my friend Dion was like, no, the car stopped. He done rammed that car into that damn guardrail and shit so many times. The car was like, enough, sis. We've had enough.
He on the road playing Twisted Metal.
Okay, Crazy Taxi in this bitch. So, but anyway, the Renaissance Festival, more on that to come in a future episode. And my other schooling life is hanging out with my family, you know, my friends and my family. So last night, which is, we're recording this on Sunday, so that was Saturday that I'm talking about, I went to my friend Nikki's house. You've heard Nikki on this show on episode, I believe it's 24. And I got to see her. Haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. Got to see Nuzzin, that's her daughter. Mo, who you will be hearing on the show soon, also known as Orig_Glamazon on Twitter, I believe. And our sis Kia from the Getting Grown podcast was in town. So we all got together and we hung out. We had chicken, we had fellowship, we played Cards Against Humanity, and that's always a good time. Somehow I won, and I don't know how. I don't want to hear. None of you need to tweet me about me being a bad person, because that is false. Okay, I just know how to play the game, all right? And my cards sucked, so that tells you something. But we had a good time, got home, and I was lifted. So I lifted my ass right to bed because it had been a long day. I had been up for about 20 hours straight. I needed those real good Z's. Amen. So that is my schooling life. Shout out again to Kia. Shout out to Nikki. Shout out to Mo. And let's move on. The Come Quick segment.
I'm gonna come, sir.
Oh, yeah. First up, Twitter now has 280 characters. And it has not been as bad as I expected it to be, but that's also because if I'm not engaged in the tweet in the first few words, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But I already do that with I was doing that with 140 characters. So I know how to scroll. A lot of y'all need to learn how to scroll. Scrolling is your friend. That is also a friend and a confidant. You need to add that to your quartet. All right, Google and scrolling. I'm just saying. And y'all are gonna get used to it. So just shut up. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, yes, some of the usage of the 280 is trash, but some of the usage of the 140 was trash. Some of the usage of Twitter in general is trash. Let's not mince words and play games. All right.
I'm surprised they did it. They've been talking about it forever. I didn't think they was going to actually do it.
Right. The things that we want them to do, you know, it's like every other company. The things that we want them to do, they're like, no, sis, But the things we don't particularly need, they're like, here you go,
Here you go.
a surprise for you. And you're like,
Mm.
so you're not gonna let us edit the tweets before,
Right. That's what I was
midnight.
going to say. That's what we need. We need to be able
Although,
to edit tweets.
at the same time, I feel like editing tweets that could potentially be a disaster because I don't know. You never know what people might do, and then
Try to
the try to renege on stuff and be like, "Oh, I never said that." And then screenshot culture is gonna come into question because then you're gonna be wondering, "Well, did you Photoshop this, or was this actually said?" But now they've edited the tweet, so I can see the edit tweet thing being a little tricky, but more characters. I don't really know what kind of enhancement that is. But again, it's done. It's here. It's probably not going anywhere because they did a slow rollout. They've tested it. They're here for it. The only thing I'm thinking about too is the ads. I don't want to see longer ads. I don't want to
Yeah.
see any ads, but the thought of 280 character ads. And the other thing, and this is no shade, but the 6 brown chicks accounts with those 280 characters, listen, that is a lot to process. It's a lot to deal with. Good luck, everybody. All right. All right. So next up in the Come Quick, we did an aura test. I saw it on Facebook, I believe. I want to say I saw it maybe on Kevin's Facebook. I'm not sure. But there was this test that you take, and it tells you what color your aura is, and then it has a breakdown. So I'm going to say guess first. What was your color, and what was the breakdown of what it meant?
Mine was yellow.
All right,
I
come
don't
on, Yellow
remember what
Ranger.
I don't remember what the breakdown was, but I was definitely yellow, and it was something about like healing and being peaceful, which is sometimes because get a little ratchet over here sometimes. But I was definitely yellow.
Come on, Yellow Ranger. Yeah, saber-tooth tiger.
What was your color?
So my color was white. And the breakdown, because I took a screenshot, the breakdown said perfect balance. You are an innovator and a creator, and your strongest qualities are more spiritual than physical. Your unique level of energy allows you to be more sensitive and intuitive than others. The white color can sometimes be pale and blank, so you need to pay attention when you are out of touch with the world. And then it says something like, even if you feel indifferent, remember that white is a combination of all of the colors of the rainbow. And I said, there's some
That's true.
interesting things going on here and it especially resonated with me because these past, I want to say, couple of weeks, I have been feeling out of touch with with the holidays. And as I said on Twitter, holiday depression is a real thing. And I've really been feeling disconnected. And even with the show, like, I'm thankful that for now the format of my show is with guests because that has been kind of a motivating factor. I already have this stuff in the book, so I can't fall by the wayside because I don't want to be known as a flake. If I say I'm going to do something, if we're going to do a show together, then we're going to do a show together sooner or later. But since I had this stuff already planned, I was like, okay, I can keep going. Let's just push through. But yeah, I felt like the white was spot on. And that stuff is always eerie when it's spot on and you read about it. And it's saying things that you didn't even realize. So, the next thing in the Come Quick is I asked on Twitter and on Facebook, am I mean? Now, where this came from is because they were, when Kia announced that she was coming to Houston on Getting Grown week before last, and they were shouting out people that live here. They said my name, and they was like, Jade was like, with his mean ass. And I said, wait a minute, bitch. Me? Mean? Wait a minute. So I had to pose the question, am I mean? So the answers, first off, now Dooley, you said people often confuse bluntness, sarcasm, and crassness with ill will and negativity. And I said that was spot on. I think that probably was even the start of, I was like, well, let's collaborate because, yes. And a few people answered. Jabari, you've heard him on the show. He said, direct yes, mean no. John from the John Effect said, "Not mean, but tangy." And I said, "Come on, tangy.
Come on, Tang.
Come on." But
That sounds like something he would say.
absolutely. But the majority of people said no. Now, people who know me intimately, you know, a little bit more intimately than some of these people who answered, they know the real deal. And it's like, I can fully admit I have the capacity to be mean as fuck, but it's not my default. Like, if you take me there, then we can go there. But I'm just not going around spewing hate and negativity and just general meanness for the sake of it. I am, in fact, not Regina George. What about you?
So I've recently gotten so I had I don't know, at this point I don't think we're friends anymore, but recently someone just said the same thing about me, and that's why I vibed with you on that. This person suggested that I'm mean, and I'm like, no, I'm not mean. I'm just direct. But I'm direct and I'm blunt because I genuinely like care. Like if I can't be 100% real with my friends or the people that, you know, I care about, who can I be real with? You know, like people will be out here gassing you up, so on and so forth, and like I would much rather, if you ask me if your outfit is cute and I say no, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm not trying to make you feel like crap, but I'm going to tell you the truth so that you can fix it or address, you know, whatever was asked, right?
I mean, you asked my opinion. This is my opinion. It doesn't necessarily have to be mean just because it may not have been something you wanted to hear. Right. Even on the show where Bree was on, or was that 2 episodes ago, she was. I said the same thing. If you are looking for someone to coddle you and be a yes man for you, don't call me, because I'm not that person. I am blunt. I try to be tactful though, but I mean, I'm not gonna be just flat out mean to my friends, because if I'm gonna be mean to you, then why are we friends?
Right. I completely agree with you.
That's silly on my side. Now, you had some interesting points about perception versus reality and attitude versus personality. And I think that those both were spot on as well. Because a lot of times people perceive, like you saying, making jokes, or even if I have inside jokes with people, because that's what I do. One of my kind of things is, if we're cool, we may go back and forth. I may drag you a little bit. You may drag me a little bit. That's just a thing that we do. Is how we show affection. Right. But people on the outside looking in, especially a lot of times on Twitter, they don't know the context of your relationship with that person. So it may look mean to them if I'm like, okay, Bottomsaurus Rex. Right. You might think that that's me being mean or me bottom shaming, but that's just the relationship that we have. That's your perception. But the reality is, this may be a person that I've known for years and years and years.
Me and my friends are the exact same way. So it's like my best friend, Abu, like y'all see me tweet him all the time. But we've been friends at this point for like 10 years, 12 years, something like that. He comes to the family reunions and Christmases or whatever. But like, we drag each other, but like you said, like it's a way of showing affection. So a couple weeks ago, I posted a selfie on Facebook, and he said I look like somebody's stud auntie.
I saw that. I definitely saw that.
And I thought that was absolutely funny, but some people was like, "Oh my god, like I can't believe he said that." I'm like, he said it out of love, like. He's not mean. Like, he wasn't really for real trying to drag me, but like that's our dynamic. That's what we do. So our friends are the same way.
Absolutely. Okay, so that was fun. The Come Quick segment is over. I think we both came. Ow.
Yeah.
So now let's get into the main topic. So this week we are going to be discussing love styles, love languages. I've talked a little bit about love languages, but we're going to get a little bit deeper into it. Now, what started this was another Facebook quiz. I think you sent it to me.
I did.
And it was about love style relationships. So let's talk about that a little bit. First, now the link to the quiz is going to be in the show notes. So if you guys are interested and you want to take it yourself, it'll be there. Believe it's from the New York Times website. It was about 50 questions. So my first question to you is, were there any questions in the quiz that stood out to you?
Oh, most definitely. So, y'all need to go into the description and find this quiz. This quiz dragged me. I felt so exposed after I got done, but it was very well created. So all of the questions that stood out to me were either things that it really got me thinking about past relationships and dating. Um, and so I feel like when I started, mingling and getting out there, you have your own perceptions of what dating is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And in connecting with people over the last couple years, you start to understand that everybody doesn't date like you, and everybody may not have the same intentions.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
But these questions really got me thinking about some of my past experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, one of the questions was, it would be fun to get with someone even if I wasn't interested.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, what? People do that?
I feel like that question is one of those hashtag, what is it? Hashtag gay culture is like type things,
Mm-hmm.
because I could absolutely see it. I feel like people do that often because they want to have some, they want to pass the time and things of that nature. So they date casually. It's like, I may not see a future with you or even want a future with you, but you cute for a couple of days, that type of thing. I mean, I don't think it's very good, for lack of a better term, but I can definitely see people doing that.
Yeah, I just feel like that's trash.
Yeah.
If you don't want me, don't talk to me.
That's it. Why you bother me when you know you don't want me? Absolutely.
Right, that's ridiculous. But people do. You're right. People do it all the time. Before I fell in love, I had a clear picture of what they would be like.
Come on, fantasy.
I mean,
That's that fairy tale shit that Kevin's always talking about on the outline.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's cool to have maybe some have some characteristics or
Of course, we all have quote
preferences
unquote
or whatever.
preferences. But with this one, when I saw that on your list, I said this reminds me of those people who are like, "This is my type, and I'm not deviating from it for shit."
Right.
And it's usually physical, although I have seen sometimes that, it's an age thing or it's a financial stability thing. But those people who are like, my perfect package is going to look like this, and I don't care what nobody says. It can't be different because I don't see anything else different. To those people, I say good luck, because in my experience, most people who are committed to that package looking on one way go through hell in their dating life, because I feel like, I don't know if the person can tell or if the universe is like, I got something for your ass, bitch, since you don't want to be open to possibilities. But most people who have that set type and they don't deviate from it, it's almost like the person knows, and so they go even harder being an ain't shit person, because they know that you looking for this specific type of thing and they're it. So if you one of them ones like, my man's booty circumference got to be so many inches, or his arms got to be this, or he got to have this kind of job, he got to have 20 suits in his closet, and those be the ones that take advantage of you the worst and treat you the shittiest, because they know you there for what they're bringing, and it may not be anything substantial, but you know what, that's a drag for another day.
I mean, you never judge a book by its cover. You think you getting one thing, and you actually get into it, and you getting something else. So
right. I would modify that a little bit, and I would say, don't judge a book by its cover. That's one thing, but I would say, I've never heard someone say a book is good based on just the cover.
Right.
Do with that what you will.
Any
other
Teach
questions?
the children.
Education.
I've had a plan to keep two lovers from finding out about one another.
Trash.
Absolutely trash. Like, really?
Y'all out here, y'all out here juggling dick and pussy. Good luck, or whatever you're into. You know, maybe. But that juggling shit. Good luck, everybody. I'm all. Listen, I've said it on the show before. I'm a proponent of non-traditional relationships. Like I say, I've said it before. I don't see myself in a traditional relationship, but I definitely don't see myself in a position where I'm trying to juggle multiple people and keep them from finding out about each other. Like, if that's something that we're going to be doing, that we're into, everybody needs to be on the same page, because what I will not be putting up with is drama and mess. No, thank you. I'm good.
So I've actually had this happen to me before. So I was one of the lovers that was being juggled.
Oh, you were one of the balls.
I was one of the balls being thrown in the air.
Or bowling pin, depending on what you're into.
But yeah, I've had it happen to me. I really wanted to drag this person, but I'm not.
Come on, classy.
But so I had a situation where I was seeing a guy, and he actually started talking to my friend on the low, and I, like, my intuition was popping, and I was like, something ain't right. Like, there's something, like, I mean, you start engaging with someone on a certain level, and when there's a shift, like, you can always tell, like, okay, you being different, like, what's going on. But him and I, this happened back in 2014. Him and I made plans to go on a date, and he canceled the date, like, literally, like, 2 hours before we were supposed to link up. So I was like, that's interesting. And so this was actually right before Christmas. So I felt the type of way. I was like, but we'll figure it out, whatever. I went home for the holidays, and then I saw an Instagram photo, and I'm like, so it was the guy that I was talking to and the friend, and I'm like, how these niggas know each other? Right. So I was like, okay, something ain't right.
Something in the milk ain't clean.
Something ain't right. So I flew back to New York City, and I linked up. I called my friend Sarah. I was like, hey, girl, I haven't seen you. Like, let's link up. So we linked up, and she was like, hey, I saw so-and-so, and he had a new boo. And I was like, oh, really now? And it turned out it was the guy that I was talking to. My friend Sarah had witnessed their day, and it was a whole mess. But she had all the tea and didn't realize she had the tea, and so I had to promptly cut them hoes off.
Both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, because they both should have known about. Yeah, no, that's a double snip, snip, snip,
snip, snip.
And that is a good example of what I have been saying again for the past couple of weeks. Always trust your niggy sense. Now, for you listeners that are not black, that is synonymous with intuition. So you say intuition. Don't go around saying nigga sense, because if you get if you get the sense knocked out of you, that's your fault. All right, I'm telling y'all now. But always trust your nigga sense / intuition. Okay, she doesn't lead you astray. All right. Were there any other questions that stood out to you?
Yeah. So one of the ones that I actually liked. So part of the fun of being in love is testing one skill at keeping it going and getting what one wants from it at the same time. One thing that's big for me is reciprocity.
Ooh, tell me who I
right?
Listen, you got to break out the vocals on that, because that was a word.
It was a word, and like,
a song.
There's nothing like being in a dating situation, a situationship, whatever you want to call it, like, and then not reaping what you're putting into it.
Yeah,
like that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's draining, to say the least. Definitely draining. Okay, I can agree with that.
That was a really good question.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went through all the rigmarole and took the quiz, and it dragged me. It said that I was possessive and romantic.
Oh. I can't even applaud the possessive part, because
I had to laugh. You know,
You
I'm
keep
serving
saying that it
Igor.
dragged you, so it's safe to assume that there was quite a bit of truth in those
It was.
results.
I mean, it was true. Like, I'm not possessive in the aspect that I want to like own you or I want to like show to you like that's not how the possessiveness works for me. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know about you. I feel weird when like so like some people like to date multiple people at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that always makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, like what if John or Sam is over there doing something that I'm not doing? Like,
Yeah, I mean that. What I'm hearing as you say that is that you're not a passive partner. You're
right,
very much engaged, and so it kind of reads as possessive. And I get what you're saying. It's not that I'm going to end up on investigation discovery because, bitch, you belong to me. It
right.
all belongs to me. Log off of that Facebook. I get it. Absolutely. Okay, so for myself, there were a few questions that stood out to me as well. The first one said, from a practical point of view, I must consider what a person is going to become in life before I commit myself to loving him or her.
Yes.
And I think maybe in reality that's not true, but because it prefaced it with saying from a practical point of view, I had to agree. Like at this point in my life, I feel like I probably would make a conscious effort to reserve those feelings for until I know what your station in life really is. And once I get past that representative that I'm going to meet and be dealing with for those first however many weeks or months, until you let that guard down and I can see the real you. But I also know, I know that love doesn't play by the rules and all that. But if you're into that kind of thing, that's not my Steve. Love is like yuck. It's a scam, if you ask me. But whatever. I know a lot of y'all love galore and all that stuff. It's all about love. Another question that stood out to me said, whatever I own is my lover's to use as he or she chooses. And I could not disagree strongly enough. Okay, because that's how you get into the situations that I'm telling y'all about where you being used and usurped and you over here on E and your partner is flourishing and doing cartwheels down the street and shit because they have everything that they want, everything that they need. And typically in those situations, they are not in the vein of reciprocity, to tie it back to what you were saying earlier. So I definitely was like, disagree.
Yeah, that one made me uncomfortable. Like
To say the
I just
least.
got the image of like these like dedicated housewives or I guess house husbands that rely on their partners
Right.
for everything. And I'm like, no, sis, like you got to have a plan B.
Right. That's fine, but it's one of those things where it's that your stuff is my stuff, but my stuff is my stuff. Because I've never seen, or let me rephrase, very seldom have I seen examples where it's like someone in a relationship is saying, well, my boo stuff is my stuff, but my stuff is my boo stuff too. It usually stops at that one direction. His money is my money, but my money is my money. That type of stuff. And it's like, that doesn't sound like a healthy relationship to me.
I agree. I mean, I have to own my shit, and like I know I got my own shit, but like I agree. Like that don't sound healthy.
No,
Mm-mm.
it sounds like that's going to implode at some point because eventually people get tired of giving and not receiving, and even people who are natural givers and receive pleasure from giving, eventually they get tired if they're being used. Now, if you're receiving and you are appreciative of it and you show that appreciation in the way that your partner wants it to be delivered, that's different. But again, when I saw this question, immediately I'm thinking of people who are like, I take, and I don't give because I'm a bad bitch, or I'm the most swole nigga, or whatever the case may be. And that shit is trash. Because their relationships are usually trash. But that's a whole different episode. So Another question that stood out to me said, at least once, when I thought a love affair was all over, I saw him or her, sorry, and the old feelings came surging back. I had to be honest with myself. I saw this question and I put disagree, and I said, you know what? I'm not being honest. I had to start the quiz over because I was like, I'm not going to lie on this quiz. There's no point in me lying. I absolutely agree with that. You know, my relationships, albeit they were short as fuck, there were very strong feelings, very strong attachments. So if I saw them again, or if we reconnected online, some of those feelings initially did come back, and whatever the case may be. And I think that happens to a lot of people, regardless of how the quote unquote love affair ended. A lot of times feelings don't just turn off. Unless you did something terrible, and then in which case all bets are off. And the last question that stood out to me, it said, I would rather break up with my lover than stand in his or her way. And I agree. I agree with that, because whether it's you can't be together because I'm a distraction, T.I., or you feel like you need to be free and you don't want to be in this relationship with me, whatever the case may be, if I'm standing in your way, I'm setting your ass free, all right? Spread your wings, butterfly. Fly to the sky. Or whatever Mariah Carey said in that song.
I don't know her.
Oh. We'll keep moving. We'll keep moving along.
I know I'm finna get mad hate, but Mariah Carey is not my diva.
Oh, I mean, you know what? We don't have to do that. So there was one thing that I noticed in the questions that were being presented, and a lot of them were kind of, I guess, what I deem as a possessive quality, and I guess that's because that was one of the answers. But some of the like this, or no, not possessive, sacrificial, which is funny because I was just on the Generation Y Us podcast, and that we had a whole conversation about sacrificing in relationships. But a lot of these questions read to me like, I have to give this up I would do this for my lover, or I would do that for my lover, I would give up this, and I was like, there's a lot of sacrifice in these questions. And I know relationships are about compromise, but there's a fine line between compromising for the greater good of the relationship and sacrificing yourself for the sake of the other person. And you have to be careful not to get caught up in that trap of being a sacrificial lamb in your relationship, because it's not healthy. You cannot sacrifice your all, your end all be all. You cannot give it all up for the sake of a relationship, for the sake of someone else. If you're in a situation where you have to constantly sacrifice your dreams or your friends, your family, you need to get out of that situation, because that's not healthy. You need to get out. You need to exit stage left. All right. You need to call Uber and Uber your ass out of that relationship, because
Control Alt Delete that.
It's only going to get worse. In my experience, when I've seen stuff like that, you sacrificing, oh, I can't do this with y'all no more, I can't talk to y'all no more, or I really was passionate about this thing, but now I can't do it no more because, you know, my boo don't want me doing it, or they're not comfortable with it. Those relationships usually only get worse, and it's trash. So my results were that I equal romantic and best friends.
Oh, you got best friends?
I did, and I thought that was interesting because I don't like nobody. So I was like, but I guess in a relationship experience, I can see that, because I think that's a natural thing for me, but I would want to be friends with my like actual friends, so that we can do things together and we can have a good time together. You know, my relationships, again, I only have 2 under my belt, and they were both short as fuck, but there was a build up to both of those relationships. It didn't just, okay, we like each other, we've gone on a couple of dates, and now we are in a relationship. I've never experienced that. I don't know her, okay? What I do know is building up friendship, getting to know each other for a good amount of time, and then doing the relationship thing. Now, I'm not saying that's the way you have to do it, because obviously I ain't in a relationship, so that shit, it didn't work. But that's what makes me feel comfortable, is we know each other well. And then the romantic part, I was like, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if I would consider myself romantic, but I guess I could see it. So you actually mentioned that. Before we do that, let's talk about the 5 love languages. So there was a quiz for that. That'll also be in the show notes. So what was your results from that?
So my, you know what? My results have been the same for the last like decade. My results have not changed. So my number one was quality time, and then physical touch was like literally like 1 point below quality time, and that sums me up. Like I like hanging out. Like, let's sit down, let's have a conversation, let's go explore, and then let's have some bomb sex. Like,
okay.
Like that really gets to like the core of like what it's like to date me. But also, like, I feel like that really sums up how I also like to show someone that I care. So making plans, come to this party, planning something. But I'm also a hugger. But if you flip that, like, you know, I don't like you if I don't talk to you. If I don't acknowledge your existence, then you know that I don't fuck with you. Like, yeah, they were right on.
Okay. My result. Now, this is the first time I've took the actual quiz. I know I've talked about this on the show before. I don't remember what I said then, but I took this quiz, so now I have a little bit of science to back it up, or math at least. So my number one also was quality time, which I could get with, because the questions that it was asked. Now, some of the questions I just had to pick the worst, or I should say the best of the two bad options. Because some of that stuff I was like, I don't need any of this, but because there were a lot of questions about gift giving, and I was like, I don't care about gift giving. And then the alternative was something that I also didn't care about, but I had to take the best of the two. But I could definitely see quality time, because I feel like I've talked about this before, maybe here on this podcast or someone else's podcast. Doing things together is a goal in a relationship situation for me. Can we go out and can we try different restaurants together? Can we go to museums? Can we go to the park? Can we travel together? Can we spend time together and like spending time together? Not saying we have to spend all of our time together. I'm not trying to monopolize your time. But when we do have time together, we need to be able to enjoy it. And we need to be doing things that we both like, and that's only going to strengthen the relationship. If we don't really want to do stuff together, then why are we together?
Yeah, I agree.
And I say that because I've seen a lot of relationships where the people, they don't really want to do stuff together. They don't want to be together any more than they have to be. And it's like, well, why are y'all together? Because that sounds miserable to me. But that's not my relationship, so good luck, everybody. My number two was acts of service, and I didn't consider that until I got this and I was reading through the questions, and I said, okay, this makes sense, because I can see, because I feel like I'm a little bit more practical maybe than the average person. I could be tooting my own horn, but you know, my friends weigh in here. But I feel like I'm a little bit more practical than, because love is like, yeah, practicality is like, yes. So I can see acts of service, because if it's something practical that I need, case in point, and this is not relationship, this is friendship, but I feel like it still applies. And I've talked about this before. When I transitioned from having a co-host to being a solo podcaster, my friend Naj, aka Chartreuse Disaster, you've heard him on the show a couple of times, he just offered a new logo. Like, I didn't have to say anything. I didn't ask. I hadn't even thought about what I was going to do next. And he just popped up one day and say, hey sis, we've talked about everything that you're going through, and here you go, here's a new logo that I was doing, and let me know if you like it. And I said, oh, this is wow. And those are the type of things that I really appreciate. I'm not saying I require it, but when someone has the wherewithal to see that I may need something, even if I don't see that I need it, and just deliver, that goes a long way with me. So, and that's in a friendship situation. So in a relationship situation, I can definitely be like, oh, you getting the neck tonight. Because, you know what I mean? Because it's like you are anticipating my needs and seeing things before I can see it. And I'm very big about knowing me and being able to handle me because you know me. Because a lot of people take a lot of relationships, sex, a lot of situations in life with a one-size-fits-all type of...
Yeah.
And they don't know how to adjust to different people. And then when they don't know how to adjust and there's friction, then there's something wrong with you because, you know, I've always loved like this, or I've always sucked dick like this. What's the issue? And it's like, well, if you would tweak things a little bit to suit me, we wouldn't have an issue. But because you have this one size fits all, like, listen, one size fits all only works with moo-moos. Okay? It does not work pretty much anywhere else.
Uh-huh.
And even
I agree with you. Like, so I think it's important for us to know, like, our own love languages. And we have to be careful to not get caught up in that when dealing with other people, because your partner may not have the same love language as you. And you have to be willing to meet them where they're at. So I think a really good example, my mom loves gifts. My mom absolutely loves gifts. And every time that I take this quiz, gift giving is literally the last.
Yeah, I think it was my last too.
So, like, I have to remember...
I take that back. A gift, like giving gifts, maybe, but receiving gifts is very low on the totem pole for me.
My mom loves gifts, and so I have to remember, like, okay, Jamel, like, get your mom a present for Mother's Day, or you know, send her something for, like, because I much rather, like I said, like, my inclination is always like, go visit your mom, hang out, but she want her gift, and I have to remember that.
And that's real. That's real. Now, if you get in a situation with someone who demands gifts, like they want you to go poor to show that you love them, exit stage left, as we've said earlier, because that's not a healthy situation. But little gifts, I can see it. Practical gifts, like if someone's, I don't know, let's say they like to cook, they like to bake, and they do a lot of stuff. They have an old hand mixer, and you go and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna get you a new hand mixer. Or if I'm feeling extra, if you really had me climbing the walls like Spider-Man, I'm gonna get you a KitchenAid mixer, something practical. It doesn't have to be a big gift, but it's something that means a lot, because again, you're anticipating their needs without them saying it. Now, if you don't mind being that person, like I say, if you got it, and it ain't tricking if you got it, and you don't mind if your man or woman is like, I demand the finest of the Gucci's and all of that stuff, and you don't, hey, have at it. But for the rest of us on planet Earth that are poor, like, I got you this Starbucks gift card. So here's a week that you don't have to come out of pocket for Starbucks on your way to work. And I think that that's dope.
I agree.
Okay. So I think we're going to transition now to the queer query.
Okay.
All right. Questions. So first up. Oh, this is a nasty question. I forgot about this. Which two non-porn actors would you like to see do a sex scene together? And I mean like an explicit sex scene. I don't mean that movie sex scene where they be together and you can't really tell what's happening.
You talking about a breeded rock clip?
Right, pretty much. Macho fucker, whatever you're into.
Come on, Tim Tails.
Woo, Lord. Woo.
I'm telling on myself. Whoops.
And me had to clutch my pearls. Shit.
So I thought I love this question, and I thought really hard about this. Okay. So I came up with two answers.
Okay.
One lesbian clip and one homosexual clip. So for my lesbian sex scene, I would put together Zoe Kravitz and Tessa Thompson. I think that would be hot as fuck They're both boss ass bitches. They're both fine as fuck.
Okay.
I think that would be everything. And then my male on male action clip would be Michael B. Jordan and Kofi Cerebo.
Okay. Okay. It's interesting. I would be interested to see who's the top and who's the bottom in that.
Their verse.
Oh. Well, tell me something. And for you, that's not for you girls out there that don't like flip flop sessions, which I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with y'all, but that's not for me to unpack today. Okay, I'm into it. So I chose John Boyega and Trayvon Rhodes. Listen.
Yes, God. Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. Listen, because there was that clip hit the net of John Boyega doing those pull-ups, and he's been in the lab, okay? Because now I've always liked John Boyega because he's just a little thick something, them thighs and that ass. And I was like, I'm into it. But now he's a little bit more ripped, but I'm still into it because. And the other thing I like, and I've talked about him before. I stand. He's really talented to be so young, so I'm very interested to see where his career goes. And then Trayvon is just Trayvon, okay? And that also, too, and as well, Tambien even would be a flip session because I just need all of the angles. I need all of the nastiness. I let the inhibitions go, okay? Give us what we came for. I just feel like that would definitely be favorited. That would be in the constant rotation. Okay, that's one.
I would pay for that.
Okay,
I would pay for that.
I'm giving up the CVV. All right.
I would spend my coins on that. I got the vapors just thinking about it.
Absolutely. So that's
my
pairing because they. And that's a nice little chocolate something too, which you don't really see too often in porn. Oh, absolutely. Well, engaged.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh Lord, let's calm down.
We both over here moaning.
Let's calm down. I'm over here fanning myself. Woo! Just calm on down. Calm it down. Okay, next question. What's one of your happiest memories?
One of my I remember one of my happiest memories was when I graduated from undergrad and then had an opportunity to go to grad school.
Higher education.
We all have imposter syndrome in one aspect or another, and I just remember being like, even though I was confident in my application, I was like, oh no, they ain't gonna let me in, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna be sitting at home. I got that I got that letter, and Miss Syracuse was like, come on, let's get sickening, and I was like, yes. I was so happy, and it just made me feel like I had something to offer to the world. I was so happy.
Yeah, that's dope. Absolutely. For me, I have two. It was seeing my godson Jameson for the first time, like having already agreed to be his godfather, and then I went to North Carolina to visit Bree, and seeing him for the first time in person. He was a month old, and it was just we just click. Like, he's my little Gemini twin, and we just click. So that was good. And then seeing Nuzzin for the first time, Nikki's daughter, because it's a running joke between Nikki and I call that a miracle baby, because Nikki is the only woman I have ever met that I never saw having kids. Like, I just did not see it. I said, sis, it's not in the cards for you. And she said, nigga, I agree. And so it just, like, the past few years have been crazy. Like, she meets somebody, she falls in love, she get married, and then she pop up pregnant. And her whole pregnancy, 10 whole months, we were like, nigga, are you really pregnant? And she was like, yes. I can't believe it either. And so seeing that sweet little girl, that little light-skinned baby with all that hair and those little chunky cheeks, it was just, it just made me really happy to see that. And usually I'm here for y'all's kids. Usually when friends or acquaintances have kids, I stop being here for you. I'm here for the kids. But
that's real.
I mean, listen, I'm here for the children. Y'all, I mean, I guess you have to be here too, but I'm here for the kids. And y'all know it. I'd make no qualms about that. I let it be known.
I love kids. Kids are fun.
And the other thing about that is because I have no desire to have children of my own.
No?
None. I was
wow.
talking about this yesterday on the way back from the Renaissance Festival, or maybe two. Dion and I were talking about it, and it's not that I don't like kids. It's not that I don't think I would be a good father. I just have no desire to raise children. It just does not appeal to me. It's not something that I feel like I need to do with my life. So seeing two of my closest friends bring kids into the world, I feel like that's close enough. That's close enough. We share these kids. I mean,
that's interesting.
Not in a real way, but we share these kids. Don't ask me for nothing. Well, I mean, I take that back because I'll spoil y'all's kids. But why do you?
I love kids.
Why do you feel like that's like? What do you? Is it odd for someone to not have a desire to raise children?
No, not at all. I don't think so. Like everybody, has different desire. I personally, I would love to have some children, maybe 2 or 3. But I think the funny thing, it's 2 or 3, yeah.
It's so expensive.
They are expensive. I would have to be more financially secure, but I would do it. But I think it's a cosmic joke. So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, all of whom are heterosexual. And don't none of them want to have kids. And here go my gay ass wanting to actually have kids. I think that's so funny. It's like a cosmic joke.
Right. Irony. All right.
So
all right then. Come on, 1 and 5. Okay, last question. What's one of your 2018 New Year's resolutions or general goals?
So I turned 30 in 2018.
Oh, come on. Welcome to the club. We got jackets and we got we got Metamucil, we got some ice, whatever you need, we have it. All right, welcome.
So I tell myself that I want to enter 30 in the best shape that I've ever been in life.
Okay.
I want to be as snatched as I was when I was 22.
That's real.
So I started this process this year, so I'm okay. Getting back to the gym, eating better. And I'm hoping to ride this on into 30.
Okay, that's real. My answer is for 2018, I just want to get on the path to living my best life, whatever that entails. So there's a physical aspect of it, getting in shape and getting some of this weight off of me that I've been accumulating because depression is real, eating your feelings and all that kind of stuff. More financial security, traveling again and seeing my people and just seeing the world and really just being happy and truly happy and getting out of my shell and out of my bubble a little bit more. Just being on that yellow brick road to best life, That's...
Get on down.
Oops, I'm unfamiliar with her.
Ooh, The Wiz?
I've never seen The Wiz all the way through. I've only seen bits and pieces of it.
It is long as hell, but
well, if it's one day, it's on my list, but I haven't gotten there quite yet. So I think that is going to wrap up this episode of Gayside Stories. So Dooley, please let the people know where they can find you and talk about your podcast a little bit.
Of course. So I am on Twitter. I just changed my Twitter handle so that people that listen to the podcast can find me a bit easier. But I'm _Dooley, Dooley, noted, NOTED, with another underscore.
Okay.
I started Duly Noted podcast maybe about a month and a half ago at this point. Has it been that long? And it's something that I was thinking about doing for a while. But I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like this. I just kind of felt very stagnant. So I was like, let me go ahead and get my coins together and get me a microphone and just sit down and do this.
Right.
So I did it. The first episode is terrible. It's terrible. Episode 2 was lit though. Two going forward is great. Mm-hmm. But it's just about it's similar to this, you know. It's just talking about things that affect queer people of color, specifically Black folks, and specifically Black folks who are gay. I talk about ridiculous things that I've done, ridiculous things that I've experienced, and it's literally bougie and banji all rolled in one.
Come on. Hashtag.
It's a mess. We did an episode about hooking up, and talking about being a thick snack trying to navigate these apps in these
listen, because it ain't easy. All right. Because a lot of y'all be on Twitter, y'all be on Tumblr, and y'all be lying about liking thick snacks or fat boys or whatever you want to. Y'all be out here lying. Okay? Because when a thick snack come and just say hi, you be hitting the block. Anyway, that's a whole different episode. That's a whole nother collaboration. Because we can talk about it, all right?
We'll be here for another hour talking about
basically, at least. Okay,
yeah, it's Duly Noted podcast, and you can find it on right now just on SoundCloud. I got to get my graphics together so I can put it on iTunes, and eventually we'll be on Stitcher. But right now, SoundCloud.
Okay, I will have the link. There's going to be plenty of links in the show notes for this episode. So I want to say thank you so much for agreeing to collaborate with me and taking time out of your busy life to be on the show. I really had fun. This episode has been great. We talk about relationships so much, but I really liked the angle that this quiz gave us and the 5 love languages and everything. So again, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Of course. With that being said, you guys, remember, always go to GaysideStories.com for more information. Email me at GaysideStories@gmail.com. Follow and interact on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/GaysideStories. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're not already, we're on SoundCloud. We're on Apple Podcasts, a.k.a. iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, TuneIn, Google Play Music. Trying to be out there as many places as possible that make it easy, because some of them anyway. If you are on Apple Podcasts and you like the show, you like what I'm doing, please take a few minutes out of your day and go give a 5-star rating and or review. You don't have to write a review if you don't want to. The rating is good, but if you do want to write a review, I would be very appreciative of that. Make sure you're sharing the show with others. I cannot stress that enough. Word of mouth is really how a lot of the smaller independent podcasts get out there. We can't, this has been said over and over, we can't all be the Read. We can't all be on Loudspeakers Network. We can't all be, on the Shout Out Network or some of the bigger names. So help us smaller independent podcasts just grow a little bit. We want to reach, because a lot of the small podcasts are having dope conversations. They're talking about dope things. There's a lot of niche podcasts that something that interests you that you would never think you're going to hear on a popular podcast. If you search hard enough, there's probably a niche podcast for you. So support independent podcasts. Share the links on your social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever it is. Make sure you're sharing with other people. Check out the Sounds of the Stories playlist. I've been listening to that playlist a lot lately. Shout out to Naj. There's a song on there called 48. I forget who it's by, but that song knocks. So check that playlist out. Thank you. I cannot stress it enough. Thank you guys so much for listening, for coming back every week and bringing people with you. when I started this podcast, I never imagined that people would actually be listening. And I think a lot of people start their podcast and like, if I can just get 5 listens, I would be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not really chasing a specific number, but just knowing that people are listening every week, even if they don't engage with me, which, if you guys want to engage, if you want to tweet while you're listening to the show or whatever the case may be, leave comments on SoundCloud, that's good too. But even if you don't, I just appreciate the ears listening. So again, thank you. And to wrap it up, as always, you guys, remember the lost commandment. Thou shalt protect thy walls.
Them walls.
Or they will crumble. All right? And you're going to be out here, and then your love language is going to be hospice care. All right? We're out. Bye, guys.
Bye.